Hey guys, it's RC again. Welcome back for the second episode of Bowlbound College Football, the tutorial. Last time we were going into the process of redshirting players or cutting players. So we had talked about quarterback, running back, and we had gotten to freshman. Calkins I'd like to get rid of, but I have to have three. So we move on. This is what I'm talking about, cutting guys in the right order. So the 1-1 guy is by far worse than the 1-4 guy. But your receivers, remember they're a skill position. So there's something I always like to check on these guys, and that is their punt return and kick return ability, which is a special team skill. Again, these are on scales of 1 to 100. So 57, he's about our fifth best punt returner and our third best kick returner. Well, you only need 2 at each, so he's not quite good enough. But this is where you might find a gem with a guy in the 90s, although he can't do anything else well, so he may be your kick return specialist. So we're going to go back up to personal and cutting them in order. The 1-1 guy, Phillips, we're going to cut first. And then the 1-4 guy will cut second. And again, it won't let me, so you have to have 6 receivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. I don't know why I thought you only needed 5, but it won't let me cut that guy. So he'll ride the bench and burn a scholarship, and I will try to recruit somebody next season that can replace him, and then I will cut him next year and get him off my roster. Let's see, tight end, the same thing. I have a 1-4 and a 1-2. GPA is not an issue, so we'll get rid of the 1-2 guy first. Now, right now I'm making a lot of decisions basically on the potential, but you might want to go in and look, and for a tight end, you may want to check his hands and his route running. You may want to check his run blocking and pass blocking ability, and you may have a guy that's a really good run blocker or pass blocker that will help you in your particular offensive scheme, and so you may want to keep that player over a player with a less rating. But, again, that's something you'll have to determine for yourself. But those are the kind of things that I mean by every number has some impact on a player. Offensive tackle, usually when I get into the offensive and defensive lines, I always like to look. So tackle, guard, center. I've got 3 centers, and boy, they are not very good. I have quite a few guards, but several of them are not good. And I'm got just the right number of good tackles, which is 3. So you need 3 tackles, 3 guards, 2 centers. So I'm going to go ahead and redshirt. Well, this 4-4 guy, Galvez, is a senior, and these 2 guys are upperclassmen. But this is what I'd like to have as a 7 or a 9, 7 to 9 ratings. Although at a 55 prestige, that may not be realistic. I just may be real lucky to have them on my team. Galvez is going to fall off this year. This guy actually redshirted and didn't get any better, and he's a GPA problem, so I'm going to cut him outright. And I'm going to go ahead and redshirt this guy. Now, if he transfers, I really won't care. If he doesn't transfer, then maybe he develops a little bit more and he's a 2 or a 3 out of 5 and he makes a salvageable backup for me next year. Same thing here on my guards. I'm going to get rid of the 2 and the 2. And when I say the 2 potential. And the 3, I don't need him. Now, again, I can't cut any centers because I have to have 3, but I don't like this guy, and I would love to redshirt one of these guys if I could. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my position players. Well, I know these 2 guys are my starters because of the S right here, and Fuller is the next best player. So I'm going to look at changing his position. So you can open that, and you can scroll through this list using your down arrow, and I can get to center, and it says his current ability as a center would be below average, but his future potential would be good. Well, he's already average because he's yellow. Remember, we talked about color ratings. So he would actually drop down, and he's a senior, so he doesn't have time to get better. So I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to look at Davis. Now, this guy's a senior, but these guys will be back next year. So if I look at Davis, and I go down to center, he would be poor this year, but he will be good long term, and he's only a sophomore. Now, poor, it means he's going to drop from a 2.5 to a 1 in all likelihood. That's just a guess. And he's going to go to a red. So he won't be any better, and he's a 5 potential. So let me cancel. I don't want to change just yet. So if he's a 5, then he's going to be no better than this guy, and he's still going to be worse than this guy. So he won't really help me by moving. So we're going to leave him at guard. I can always play these guys out of position, and that's where their adaptability comes in. So Fuller has an 83. He could potentially be my center this year. I also have to be concerned about grades on a few of these guys. So I don't want to cut down to 3. They're good enough to be depth. And I'm stuck with the centers. I can't cut this guy because it would put me below the minimum. I'm in a heap of trouble right here. So that will be something I will be looking to hopefully land a recruit in the future in recruiting seasons and weeding these guys out and hoping Perez and Cook develop to their potential at some point in time. Stratton, I'm going to go ahead and redshirt just to see, because he's a 5. He's no worse than anybody else. So I'm going to redshirt him. Again, if he transfers, he's bad enough that I don't care, and I get his scholarship back. So if he's and if he doesn't leave, then maybe he ends up being a more developed freshman next year. Defensive tackles, not very good at all. These two guys are equal. One's a grade problem. I'm going to go ahead and cut him, and I'm going to just deal with this guy until I can get him replaced also in the future. Now, remember, I'm going to bounce out of here. Offensive formations, defensive. We went with the 4-3, okay? So when I'm looking at my defensive tackles, I need 2, okay? So that's going to be hard there. I maybe should have went for a 3-4. And only played 1 and had the other guy as a backup. But I don't have any inside linebacker depth either, so we're just going to have to deal with that. He's a 2-2 I would normally cut, but he is a senior, and he's not on scholarship, so that doesn't affect me. I'll still have him off the roster at the end of the season anyway, which is before recruiting kicks in. So I really can't cut anybody here, but I can go ahead and redshirt both of these guys. Both of these guys that are red. I'm going to redshirt, and maybe they'll get better. Diaz is still better than them. I'm going to go ahead and cut these outside linebackers. And there goes my dog. Somebody's at the door. All right, well, I tell you what, I'm going to cut this episode a little short. Sorry about that, and we'll pick up next episode.